call the meeting to order. Yes,
Yes.
so pursuant to, I call this meeting to order. Pursuant to open meeting law, this meeting may be recorded for transmission on both the Berlin Cable Television Access Channel and YouTube. Your voice and image may be recorded. Okay, so I guess we would start with the minutes, which Jess sent around, and anyone have any questions on those?
I'm sorry, I had a brain cramp. Say that again.
The minutes, Jess sent
Oh.
those around for last meeting.
Sorry. I thought they were excellent. Now that I know what MJ was saying.
Okay, I thought they were excellent too.
Thank you.
So seeing no questions being offered, I move that we accept the minutes.
Okay, I will second it.
Okay, Jess, yay or nay on accepting your
Yay.
minutes? Deborah votes yay.
Yay.
Yay from Karen and yay from me. So the minutes are passed. So I guess we'd move on next to the treasurer's report.
Okay, I did send it out this afternoon, so I totally understand if nobody had a chance to really get into it, but just a couple of changes. I still have not gotten a justification beyond the one that I gave you 2 weeks ago. So the numbers at the top were basically the same, but then if you move down, the difference from last time was that the 3 library programs, the stuff was in the mailbox today.
Yay.
So, yes,
Good.
so I started to process it, and I'll be checking with people to get signatures. I have to get up there and make some copies of the cover sheet. I ran out. I didn't realize I didn't have enough. So I moved them up to the grant reimbursements that have been submitted for payment. Ed the Wizard and Meredith Charles have probably been paid by now, but because I don't have those justifications yet, I can't move them to the next column. We still are encumbering money for John Root's program. He has indicated a willingness to do that, and I can explain later when we talk about carryovers. Roger Bruno and Leslie Havens, their grants have all been rolled over to 2021. So that brings us down to having $1,650. We have 1,500 of that is the grant money available for 2021. And then the MC C grant, 4,900. And then $150 will roll back into the MCC money because the Neshoba Friends of Music did not ask for reimbursement by January 12th, which was the date of their letter. And I had, sorry about this, I had sent an email out to the 2 email addresses in the grant and no one responded to me. So that money is no longer theirs. It's going to roll back to us to grant in the MCC money. So that's an example of what you were asking me, Karen. That money can go back into the till. So the total we have available when we put our Berlin money and MCC money together is $6,550 to grant.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions about the treasurer's report, I move that we accept that.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay. Jess?
Yep.
Deborah votes yay, and I vote yay. And okay, so I think probably since it falls under old business that it makes sense to move on to some of the other things that we've been up to, Deborah, in terms of talking with Margaret and I think
It's been a busy week.
yeah. So do you want to enlightened.
Well, yeah, I guess, if we want to back up to where we were last time, where we said we were going to contact certain people, which all those contacts have been made to the people that we had questions. Well, actually, I shouldn't even address that at this point. I'll jump into do we want to discuss the Maya check situation first?
Yeah, I suppose that I should start by saying that after we met last time, I did speak to Bob. Actually, I probably emailed this, and that he felt that there was no real way to continue on with the program at the moment, because it was a program that its value leaned heavily on being an in-person program, and the inability to do it in person just it didn't make sense for him. And I
Oh,
contacted Greg back and indicated that, you know, we weren't able to extend the grant, because the money that had been granted had been the Berlin money that disappeared, and that he lacked the, you know, host being interested in continuing the program. So, and then he came back with an email of interesting tone, all technically polite, but basically complaining and being like, well, other towns have offered, you know, mitigation funds, or have found ways to extend it, and you should find the money, blah, blah, blah. And
I don't owe him anything.
No, and he is not in the email, the inflammatory email. He made reference to the fact that he has explained this very thoroughly every single time he has emailed us. And if you look at the emails that MJ has sent to him, MJ has explained it very thoroughly to him as well, that we can't give him money that doesn't exist,
Right.
yeah.
and that MJ's advice to him was excellent. The best pathway was to submit a grant. And this was advice given a while ago, and he never
When he
did.
had plenty of time to do it.
yeah,
Yes.
this was September. I advised
Right.
him that that was the smartest course of action, and he did not submit a new grant.
Yeah, he did not do it, and he didn't follow through with the fact that he was told to speak to Bob
Mhm.
and come back to us, but somehow it got turned around that we were supposed to keep him informed. That wasn't the case. It's his
No.
responsibility, which
Yeah.
we told him. So the last letter told him that he wanted us, because the money went into the Berlin Treasury, that we were to get that money. If we were able to turn it back to the Treasury, then we certainly should be able to get it back. So I had a very long conversation with Margaret.
For a program he hasn't been able to do anyway.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I had written her quite a long email, and I apologize for how long it was, but I gave her all the details because it was something that we needed to solve at the town level. We needed guidance at the town level, which she gave me very good guidance. And as a result, she said, do you want me to write a letter to him? It is against the law. We can't do that. Goods and services were not provided. It's against
Right.
the law.
Mhm.
So I told her, yes, that, you know, she did write that and is willing for it to be sent, but I told her that we would discuss the situation tonight, because I think we also should have a letter. We've done more than enough work on this. I also called the MCC about it
Yeah.
to see if we could back out the denial that we had put on his grant in the system, to see if we could give him some of the money that got, even the money that got turned back to us. And
Yeah.
the guy said, no, you can't do that. And he
Right.
wasn't saying, you know, no, you can't do that. He said, that is not something that you can do. First of all, it's a bad precedent. And they've been excellent at the MCC trying to help the artists, the people who have put time in and everything. But the thing that it keeps coming back to is that he was granted funds from the Berlin money.
Right.
And it was explained in the letter. We have had emails from him for almost a year now, we've been trying to work on straightening this out for almost a year now, and it's time for it to end.
Mhm.
Well, we straightened it out several times. You just won't accept
He
that
doesn't
it
like the
has
answer.
been straightened out. And
Right,
all of the conversations Deborah had, were, things we shouldn't have had to do to begin with. And that's why I advised that a new grant was the best path forward, since
Mhm.
I didn't, any of Deborah's conversations leading to, yes, we can grant money, seemed very unlikely to begin with. And
so I went
enough
back,
for
sorry, you cut out there for a second, MJ.
crap, did I freeze?
Yeah,
So is he saying that other towns paid him money for goods and services he didn't render?
yeah, through the MCC. The MCC is allowing, because this has
Oh,
been
okay.
so difficult for the artists,
Yeah.
has allowed, if towns were willing, to either totally release the grant money to them
Okay,
and just pay them for it because it couldn't happen due to the COVID restrictions,
Right.
or you could choose to pay them for preparation time
okay,
for their program, the research and everything they have to do, or whatever they do. You could give them a partial payment, or you could choose to not pay them anything at all. But that is only MCC.
right. And he was earmarked for Berlin, so we can't do anything anyway.
Right. And the rules around the state money are different than the rules around the town money.
You're back.
So
Yeah.
Okay,
the town money, we would not be able to give him any of those mitigation payments because
Right.
of this, the rule that
Right.
it has to be, that it has
Okay.
to have happened.
So he was fortunate that the state allowed for some monies to be
Yes.
given anyway, and
Yes.
that some towns had earmarked him under the state money, so he got lucky,
Yes,
and that's great. In our case, he can't be, and he has opted not to put in a grant for this year, which we could do something about. So he's complaining because we're not going to just give him money that we legally can't give him.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the MCC, the man I spoke to told me, and MJ had put it in one of the responses, that they have this program now for you to apply to for help. And I told him we already, the
Yeah.
chair had already done that. And then the other was that this guy said, if you want to tell him to call me, tell him to call me and I'll explain it to him as well. You
Sure.
can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
He's probably also able to get the pandemic unemployment as a gig person. I can speak from experience. Because solo business proprietors have been able to access some aid too.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for him, but
Yeah.
he did have things he could do that he opted
Yeah.
not to do.
I feel bad for him. And that's why we have spent so much time and effort trying to explore all the various paths. But, I mean, it's possible that he's talked to Bob about doing a new grant, and, Bob didn't want to do it. I didn't get that sense. I got the sense from Bob that a subsequent one wasn't even discussed, because I think he said something like not knowing why he hadn't done that, because it's not too hard to do. But I mean, in
Well,
the
if
end
he
of the
really
day,
had wanted,
we
I'm sorry,
aren't a charity. Now go
he
ahead.
could have gone to somebody like 19 Carter too, if he really wanted to do the program in town. He could have found a different
Yeah.
host.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So I think ultimately, so we give money to things that may not always be well attended. We are not a charity organization. We are a government body. We have,
Yeah.
done our due diligence to try to find a solution for him. But in the end, it isn't our problem.
right.
We grant We gave him a grant of money to cease to exist. Our
So,
duty was discharged long ago.
so are you comfortable, MJ, writing another letter to him? Like the final letter, we have done everything we can do and all that stuff, and then attach it to the letter from Margaret in June. It says,
I would be perfectly comfortable doing that. I was about to say I'm happy to tell him no from now to eternity. I would like to eventually stop having to do so. But yes, no, I am comfortable being the source of yet another no on that. And
Is Margaret's letter explaining the legal issues?
yes.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just want to have it right for the minutes.
yeah.
yeah, it was a very brief thing that basically outlined that it was illegal for them to give.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I
They
can
Just give him money.
get it and send
Yeah.
it to you guys
Okay.
while we're talking.
And okay, so do we have anything else we need to say about this, or just I contact Margaret and attach a letter to their effort?
Yeah, if you want to write the letter, I'll type it up if you want on the letterhead on the cultural council. I'm pretty sure I still have the letterhead on my computer. I'll type it.
Ooh, that would be nice.
I'm wondering if, I mean, we really want an official letter and not an email.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of an official letter, particularly if the town is sending one. I mean, I had almost been tempted to ask if I could co-sign with Margaret in June. So having a letter of my own is even better.
Yeah.
A letter of our own. I do not mean to take personal ownership of the no, but
We won't let getting,
at a certain
we
point in
won't let
life,
being the chair get to your head. Don't worry.
at a certain point in life, I realized that at times being the chair, the manager, the whatever of certain situations means that sometimes I have to be the quote unquote bad guy, or the one who, makes product reps intimidated or what have you, and not always my personal way of wanting to be, but sometimes the professional necessity.
Absolutely.
I have the letter. If I put this up to the screen, instead of me sending it to you, would you be able to see it, or is it backwards?
Yep.
I
Can
can
read it.
see it.
Looks pretty clear.
Okay.
Is this
Okay,
mainly regarding the Georgia O'Keeffe thing, or is this in general, like we're talking general? Like, yeah,
this is just our letter to that particular person, but
right.
in general, we would not be able to provide mitigation funds for anyone else who came to us in a similar circumstance. Nor do I think that the voters in town would appreciate us offering mitigation funds, even if we were legally able to do so.
Wouldn't want to stand up at town meeting and say we did something like that.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so
It wouldn't get through June anyway. June, the accountant, when you turn these things in, you've seen what we do. We have all the receipts and everything, and she looks at it and it wouldn't be like, hey,
Right?
Yeah.
money.
okay, so I think that covers that fairly thoroughly. So I guess that brings us back to the 3 grants that we held on last time. And so we did hear back from the cultural diversity training one, and we still did not hear anything back on the other two, correct, Deborah?
Yep, and I sent an email out again. I've sent two now.
Okay.
I still haven't heard back from cable about the, if that Kirk Whipple, if they had been contacted by him. I haven't heard back from them. They must not monitor their email, and I don't know them. So I mean, I could try to, let me look on the town things. It's one of the people I recognize her name. Was it Roger Bradley?
Okay.
Do any of you know if he's one of the people on the cable committee?
Let's see.
I know nothing about them.
And then there was, I think the other person was a woman.
Yeah, I see on cable access, it says Pat Anderson and
Oh, I know Pat.
Brad.
Pat used to be the librarian at the elementary school
Yeah.
before she moved on to other things.
Yeah, I haven't dealt with Roger Bradley in many, many years.
So that's, okay, sorry, yeah. Oh, I'm not getting it on this.
In any event, if we didn't hear back from the person requesting the grant
But
on,
what is the- yeah, what is the difference between the Cable Advisory Committee and
I'm not sure.
the Cable Access Committee? There's a Cable Access Committee and there's a Cable Advisory Committee.
Is the advisory the one that helps do the contracts with Charter?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
That would be kind of my guess on that as well.
Okay, so I could try to call either one of these people. I mean, because obviously they're not monitoring the,
But if the grantees haven't responded either, that, I mean, if the people asking for the money didn't respond to the emails either,
yeah, actually, you know what? I'm wondering if
or were they not included?
I know that I directly emailed Dr. The Machine Dressy Green. He was direct. But Whipple, let me, if I look, I'll see if I
Ultimately, was a lot of money for something that was just going to be on cable access anyways.
Right.
What would be his alternatives, just off the cuff, if anyone you think of, like, thinking together, like, you know, if a lot of people don't have cable access, like, I wonder how else he could deliver it, like Zoom, or I know, like, in terms of, but still be under the town if the town has an account. Any particular type of platform, he can deliver it a little bit more accessibly. Because it's not like he's devoted to doing it online. It's just that cable access won't reach very many people, I suppose. Is that it?
well, that was one of our questions last time.
Yeah.
Yep, and I just looked. I don't think I emailed the Kirk Whipple man directly.
Directly.
I was trying to find out from cable if they had contacted him because
Okay.
he indicated that it was going to be on cable. So that's why I guess I went local first, but we could still hold on him, and I could.
And his was his one of the ones that like hit up a ton of councils also? I
Probably.
I know Jesse Green's was, I know the diversity training people were,
No.
but I thought his was also.
Let's
I could be
see.
wrong.
I just recall it being a lot of money.
Yeah, it was pretty high.
How long do we have until we have to send the rejection letters, though?
February, February 13th.
Okay,
Aw.
Yeah, so
And
we
then-
still have time to send the rejection letters. What is that, 3 weeks?
yeah.
Over 3 weeks.
Happy
And
Valentine's Day.
are we dividing up the money tonight, though?
We don't have to, we don't have to do it until we finally decide on the denials.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah,
Sure.
one thing I wasn't thinking of last time was the fact that when sending the denials, they have 2 weeks to appeal. So in theory, it would be complicated if we eliminated all the funding ahead of time on that.
Right.
So on the other hand,
Mm.
we don't really have that much that needs to be cut either. So I mean, I think any denials we send today won't, the money would, I think, be there for all the things we want to approve, but how we deal with any excess of that might be a little more complicated. So we are kind of geared towards having to meet at least once more to this grant cycle, I think.
The other thing that we were discussing too, that we could, the way we could attack this is we had, one of the conversations with Margaret was about, do we have to follow the same rules with the Berlin money as we do with the MCC money? Because they're different entities, they have different rules. So do we have to follow the rules, or can we just use that Berlin money for our own community and for grants within our community? And what it had made me thinking about that was because of the confusion with the fiscal year and the calendar year, as well as the fact that I had a conversation with Evie, I think about a year ago, and she was asking me if I was willing to teach a class or do a demonstration at 19 Carter, because she wanted to bring a bunch of artists in and do kind of a day where the community was invited to come and watch the different artists in town do their thing. So that would be an idea of something that a Berlin person, Evie, or just somebody from 19 Carter could ask for money to provide a program like that to the citizens of the town. So they haven't come back with the answer on that. So going back to what MJ was saying, we might want to just look at splitting up choosing the denials and just splitting up sorry, I'm having brain cramps again, splitting up the MCC money among the people that are there.
Oh.
I won't put anything into the computer until the 11th hour, because then if we have to follow the directions, the letters won't go out until the 13th. We don't have to we can kind of rough it out, not using the $1,500 from Berlin, just the MCC money, and then take a look at it again later.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense to people, but I really would like to get the answer from Margaret and June about the how we have to, what the rules are around the Berlin money.
Okay,
Okay.
well, why don't we start by having some votes on those three remaining grants? So, starting with, the Jesse or the chainsaw,
The chainsaw guy.
which we did not hear back anything from him about having actually contacted schools, so.
Right.
Personally, I'm okay denying him because
Okay.
he didn't reach out. He didn't, nobody seems to know. The schools weren't saying anything to us.
I sent him an email from my own address and from the cultural council address because
Okay.
I was afraid that mine might have gone to junk.
Yep.
Cultural council could have gone to junk too, but he's got to
One
be.
would think he'd be looking though,
Yeah.
given the
Yeah.
amount of
Let me double
councils
check
he hit
that we
up.
haven't had any emails today. I don't think I've checked it today. But
Does anyone have written down the total amount requested by all of? I know at one time we talked about it, and I have something written here. Was it $6,935 was the total?
that's what I came up with every time
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to be aware of the money as we do this.
Okay, so voting on the Jesse Green chainsaw one. So Jess, yay or nay?
Nay.
Deborah, yay or nay?
Okay.
Nay.
And nay from Karen, and I vote against it as well. So we have rejected that grant for the reasons already stated. So moving on to the piano one on the cable access. Do we want to hold off and attempt more contact, or do we want to vote on it as is?
I can go
Yes.
either way. I can go either way with it.
I guess my inclination would be to reject it unless cable access people said they wanted it. Although I'd be open to it if he found somebody else. Like Karen said, if somebody wanted to just host it over Zoom,
Yeah.
I'd be fine. It's not an objection to his program or anything like that.
Well, I think also the fact that we haven't heard back from cable access, seems to, if they aren't checking their emails, then that's probably a bad sign about the efficacy of the program for this purposes. I don't mean to cast any official aspersions upon the entity itself, but
this is one that could kind of slide into that slot that we just talked about, in that he says the project would take place between March and December. So we can deny him in MCC, continue to try and contact him, and then if things look like it would be something that would be good, this would be a place that we could put him into the Berlin money, with the restriction that it would have to be done before June 30th.
that seems reasonable, and we would still be in a position, if assuming the objection held in terms of the one we just rejected, that one alone kind of makes up the difference of what's been requested versus what we have to give. So
Okay.
wouldn't be with without funds in that regard. So,
Well, we
so,
also don't have to give him the full amount if we
Yeah.
can't, if that, you know.
Mhm.
so yeah, so moving on this, Jess, yay or nay?
Uh,
To-
I'm
Or,
not sure what the yay is.
yeah,
I am pro denying him, but very much open to hearing back from him if
reconsideration
he can
for-
get a host.
So do we
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
do
It's
we
pretty
still want to
clear.
look at passing over him until we have a little more time to get the information?
Yeah, like give him a nudge and then like make, tell him he's got a time constraint. Give him a nudge and see what he does. Kind of like, because I mean, from Jessica's notes, that seems to be what we were up to. Go get a sponsor, come back to us. But if you don't come back to us, you might lose out on funds. I mean, that just seems to be what everyone decided at the last meeting.
Okay, so if I call the people on the cable access and ask them the question that they haven't responded to on the email, so I'll make the
Yeah.
phone call. And I will email him because I did not email him directly. I was trying to get the answer from cable first. That was going to tell us which way we were going. So I'll email him and ask him if he's reached out to the cable. And then I'll see what I get.
Thank you for being willing to do that.
Thank
Okay,
you, Deb.
so
Would it be muddying the waters to ask him if he would be open to another form of transmission, or is that something we should wait to do? And this should just be about the cable access. I don't know.
You tell me. I can always ask that question. Just tell him we're discussing it at our meetings, but I think the answer first has to come from cable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
And how that would happen, I don't know enough. I mean, is it a live concert and our cable people have to be there? They might not want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I understand
yeah.
an in-town soccer game, but this guy is from,
yeah,
Didn't his grant, I don't, the way his grant read to me was that basically it's a recording.
Oh. Oh.
I could have read it wrong though. That could have been just me interpreting it the way that made sense to me.
yeah, I only put in the book the contact information, so I don't have the,
I don't have the panel open either.
let me see if I can
Because I mean, if it's a
clean that
recording,
quickly.
there's no reason it couldn't be shared lots of different ways, really.
Who'd be doing the recording? I mean, would it still be cable access to the recording, or were we
Well,
Well, I
asking
was just
for-
wondering if he had recorded it himself and he was
Yeah. Okay.
offering it for cable access to upload
Oh, that's a
and to
question mark. Okay.
show. That was the way I interpreted his grant request. But like I said, that could have been
Okay.
me just filling in blanks on my own.
yeah. And is
That
it just one
weren't really-
concert or several concerts too? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh,
$750 is a lot for one concert to watch on TV.
yeah, well, let's see, I'm reading, this, blah, 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 this will involve two components, a live pre-concert lecture with your community via Zoom directly followed by a recorded performance, which we are only licensing to participating communities.
What was that?
So in his application, it speaks about the COVID issue and then, talking about virtual performances and says, this will involve two components. One, a live pre-concert lecture with your community via Zoom, directly followed by two, a recorded performance, which we are only licensing to participating communities.
Oh, okay.
process.
That- Wow, that kind of sounds like is he expecting more than one town to fund him, and then he would only license it to those towns?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to hear back to see if
Okay,
cable access
so
even.
So let's pass on that, and thank you, Deborah, for your continued zeal with these contacts. We are
Thank you.
I don't get to talk
indebted
to
to your
anybody all
dedication.
day. Oh,
Okay. So moving on to the police diversity training. Anything more to be said on that, or do we want to vote on it?
I
Well,
s-
we
yeah.
did hear back.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. And Chief Galvin said that he looked for this.
Okay.
If I remember the email correctly, I did send it to
Mm.
you guys, and he said this was something that he wanted, and he had spoken to the woman who is in charge of all of this, and he said that it is something he wanted. So I'd like to support it if that's what he would like.
I think if they wanted, I mean, certainly it is difficult to be in judgment on too many of the particulars, although I do question whether this will achieve the aims it is seeking, but I'm inclined to give a weak support of
Yeah.
it.
When is it happening?
Was, I think, the last one, the panel.
I'm not seeing a date.
Yeah, I am not seeing a date either.
Wait. I'm
Yeah.
trying to see if this is the same one. Music and Culture Series. Congrats.
No, it's the last one, and
Yeah, I was just trying to see if there was a date attached on the application, because usually I don't see a date.
yeah, I'm not seeing one.
Just because I want to go if I can.
Now, if Chief Galvin would like it so much, like, do we still need to also ask them for another town sponsor, or like could we consider the sponsor? Chief Galvin.
Chief Galvin's the sponsor.
Okay.
Yeah, that was why we held on it last time, because it wasn't entirely clear whether the police had been contacted or if this person was making it available to them without. But
Okay.
that the chief made it clear that it was indeed involving them in the planning. So I think we
We
can.
didn't talk about Assabet Valley Master Singers.
Yeah.
Well, do we need to hold the vote on this one first?
I thought we
Oh, yeah.
approved the Assabet Valley Master Sinners, but with the condition that they
Right.
delivered the tickets to 19th Carter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, so then it's just a matter of deciding how much money is going to the different, so,
Yeah.
okay.
But we still
But-
need
but
to
We
vote
need
on
to still,
the police.
yeah.
So so yes, voting on the police one. Jess,
I will abstain.
okay, Deborah,
I'll say
oh,
yes.
Jess, Karen,
Yeah. Yep.
okay, and
Okay.
I will vote yes with some reluctance. So that is passed. So yeah, that brings us to discussions of the money, I do believe, and how we want to
So so nobody from the Assabet Valley Master Singers got back to us?
I don't think we contacted them. I think the idea was that we are able to grant conditions in the approval, so the
Okay.
approval
Oh,
will
that's
be
right.
conditional on them actually delivering the damn tickets to.
And that's in the notes, that the approval will make stipulations on the
Yeah,
tickets
so
getting to
when
19
we
Carter.
send the approval letter, it will be
Okay.
made clear that they have to do that, and if they don't do that, we don't give them the money.
Yep. Okey dokey.
Okay.
So in my notes, all of the rest then are ones that we all said we would approve. We just have to figure out how much we're
Yeah,
funding. Okay.
Okay, so I just added everything up, not putting Assabet Valley in. I'm pretty sure I didn't put them in this, but I'll redo it. And not putting Kirk Whipple in. And it adds up to $5,185. So if I
Did you take
add,
the chainsaw guy out too?
I took the chainsaw guy out. So what I'm going to do, just to see if my math was right, I'll add the people in that I didn't put in and see if it comes out to our original amount that we thought we had. And it does. Okay. So not putting Assabet in, even though they are going to be in, the denied Jesse Green and the denied, well, and the
Contingent Whipple.
Kirk Whipple, are we denying him or we're just holding on him?
we're holding.
Okay, so if you take that money, if you take those three amounts out, it comes out to 5,185. So if I add Assabet, the whole Assabet thing in, it's 5,685. So
This is just Massachusetts state, right? We're not thinking about the 1,500 for Berlin right now, right?
that's what, that was my next question. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna
Well,
pick-
we only have 4,900 from the MCC, so some of that has to be. Berlin money.
Right,
Okay.
so we're gonna have
Yeah,
to,
that's what I want to be clear on again. I lost track of that. Okay.
but we also don't have to give full amounts. We do not have to give Assabet Valley Master Singers $500. We
Yeah.
can choose to give them 300, and we can choose to give other people varying amounts as well.
Personally, I'd rather stick with giving them 300, and if we have leftovers, I'd rather give it to the seniors or 19 Carter or some combination of very locally driven
Yes,
groups. That would
absolutely.
be my personal preference.
Absolutely. And yeah, so before we start doing that too, I want to throw this piece into you. The 150 that got turned back to MCC, we can actually redirect that to our three rollover people, John Root, Roger Bruno, and Leslie Havens.
Okay.
We can take that 150, and I went back and looked at how much we had granted all of them, and it was less than what their amount was that they had requested. So we can actually pump their grants up, either divide it equally among them or decide, you know, who we want to give more to or less, depending on what their original request was and what we ended up giving them.
So we could give them each extra $50.
Yes. So that 150 can go there if we
I'd be
like.
fine with that.
Yeah, so that's something to, I just wanted to say that before somebody said, what about that extra 150?
Well, perhaps then we should decide first on the 150. It seems like it's probably the simplest amount to solve right now.
Yeah, I have it, I can tell you what we gave, what they requested and what we granted them. So last year, John Root, he asked for 575 and we gave him 450. So that was a difference of $125. Roger Bruno, he asked for 700 and we granted him 400. And then Leslie Havens, who we've always fully funded. But last year we didn't, we had so many grants, we spread it a little thin. She requested 500 and we gave her 375. So that was a difference of 125 as well. So John Root and Leslie Havens, it was a difference of 125 from the amount they requested and what we granted. And Roger Bruno, it was a $300 difference.
My vote would be to just split the 150 evenly for all of them.
I think that's fair.
I'm okay with that.
Did we lose Karen?
Showing up as a panelist, but that's weird. Well, we absent Karen, I think we are all agreed on splitting the. I suppose it should be in the form of a motion. So I move that we divide that $150 that was reverted back to our MCC funds for the last fiscal year to the 3 remaining grants that carried into this year.
I'll
Do I have-
second.
Okay, so yes, yay or nay?
Yep.
Deborah, yay or nay?
Yay.
And I will vote yay. And Karen, we have you back. We were so bemused by your absence. So you are still muted.
Zoom kicked me out. I don't know how that happened.
It was strange. We were getting a black screen, so it was like the meeting recognized you were here. We just didn't have you. It was very bizarre.
Oh,
But so the motion on the table is to take that $150 that was returned back from the Neshoba Friends of Music and divide it evenly between the 3 remaining grants we have active from last year,
okay.
which was
Okay.
so you vote yay?
Yay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then it passes unanimously. So that brings us back to the 4,900 and according. Is the since the concert season thing is something that goes all year, is that something we would have to pay out of the MCC funds because it won't conclude before the June 30th?
Yeah, in reading that, was he going to do a series or just one concert where he had a Zoom thing and then did a concert, or was there going to be a Zoom every time and then a series of concerts? I'm confused about the grant.
Um, I don't recall there being Zooms on that one. There were going to be the Zoom before the
Because
Whipple.
this one did talk about live streaming, but it didn't give any details about how they were live streaming or how people accessed it. Is that what you mean by Zoom, Deborah?
Yeah, I thought I had heard Zoom in there, that there was going to be some kind of presentation first that was live with.
That was Whipple. That was the conversation about Whipple.
Yeah, isn't that what we're talking about?
I thought we were on the
the
Aspet Valley.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was thinking we were.
It's okay. I'm just confused.
It's been a long year.
Yeah.
We're only 22 days into it.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm just concerned with the time that if we treated that with
So that one we can't do from Berlin money. That has to be MCC money.
yeah. But I mean that's something where I mean I guess we were talking about the idea of giving them less and giving more to some of the Berlin ones, but I mean we're in a position that with the between the MCC money and the Berlin money that we would be able to fully fund all the ones we've approved, including this one's conditional approval with
And
having
how much does that leave left over in case Whipple gets a sponsor?
it I think it hold on.
I'm sorry, I just don't have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah, so if we track I think if we subtract the two that we rejected, that would all of the others would add up to 5,710. So that would give us that'd give us 690 left. So I mean, I think
So that would leave
we could give some of the grants less and then use the Berlin money to different purposes. But I think one of the options would be to simply we could give the full amount to the ones we've approved. That would still leave 690 left on that one. So we could in theory just if they did come back with something, you know, give them a lesser amount. I mean, I suppose it'd be kind of penalizing them for the complication to make, but you know, we
well,
could
it's also that's still a lot of money anyway for a
yeah,
you know, for a recorded concert.
yeah. I mean, this
So
would
I
all
don't
be
feel
presuming that the chainsaw one didn't come back. I mean, I mean, we're giving them a rejection. We're not sending them another email. So I doubt they would, you know, contact the MCC to try overturn the rejection. So I think we could potentially leave it simply that 600, we could approve everything to the full amount. And then that 690 could either go to this one, should it come back with something that we find acceptable, or then if they didn't, then we'd have that 690 to pump into some of the other grants, or to, have available for something else, such as, what Deborah was describing, at 19 Carter or something.
Yep.
So that would be a simpler option, but we may not want to give everyone the full amount.
I do have concerns about the Assabet Valley Master Singers and that amount, because they really do not serve the town. And that's the major thing, is about serving a large number of citizens in the town. So that one, I think we really need to think about.
Okay, I think that's fair.
All the others I see as, doing something. David Bates is a library program, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So, and everybody else, it's all stuff that is being done in our town for the citizens of the town, and handling a pretty decent amount of people.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then we've also got to kick around what we want to do with Kurt Whipple, but
yeah.
I just don't feel it's appropriate to, and this is a discussion we've had many times over the years with the Assabet Valley Master Singers, is their concerts are in Westboro, Southboro. They're not easily accessible.
Yeah.
And they only give 2 tickets anyway.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's not a discount for anybody else.
Those were the 2 tickets that they were sending to us. So I mean, we are this time, we will in the letter make sure that they know that they have to give the some reasonable number of tickets to 19 Carter. So if they don't, then we don't pay them at all. But I've always found this one to be kind of questionable. So I'm happy enough to reduce its amount. So did we want to?
Why don't we go with what we've always given them, or at least what we gave them last year?
I
think last year we rejected them.
Year.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure we denied them.
Yeah.
Because we had so many grants.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we denied them. They asked for 500 and we denied them because they don't meet the criteria, right, which is to serve a large number of people in our town. So if we had had a lot more grants this year,
we'd deny them again.
The answer would have been.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
yes,
we
it
say
is only our good funding that softened my black heart towards there.
So
well, what about 200 for them? That's 100 for each ticket. That's pretty generous.
Oh, I think in the letter, or I mean, even, how I love to sign up for these emails. I could email them and ask them, exactly what I've said before. In the past, these tickets have not been available to our seniors because we don't have a place.
Right.
And it's all online, isn't it? So whoever wanted to go to
it wasn't even clear though.
You have to have a ticket to be able to see the streaming concert.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, I'm okay if we want to reject them too and use the money for
I think
people like the seniors.
Since we passed it last time, I think
that's right. We do have to give them something. Sorry.
It does, we have the money to give them, to do something. We just know that it's because of the fact that we had so few applications. So in fairness, do like Jess said, do give, start out with 200. And then let's look at the rest of what we have. And if we can up it a little bit, but I truly don't feel that we should be
We
looking.
don't owe them anything.
Right, we
Yeah.
should be looking to fund the other grants fully that are servicing our town.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think we have to look at giving them any more later if the Kirk Whipple one doesn't end up being something we're funding, then we have money we can stick back into other grants where they had more expenses they weren't asking for, or, some other program in town. So I'm happy to assign them an amount in the acceptance letter, give them the conditions they have to meet to get that amount, and letting the chips fall where they may. I mean, the worst case scenario is they don't give us the tickets, we don't give them the money, and then, next year we have a little more money, which we might want to have next year too.
I have another thought that I'd like to look into as well. And it piggybacks on being able to give people a little more money than what they asked for. And I'm wondering if that's something that can also be done here. A lot of these grants, when they put the payment slip in at the end, and actually there is one later in these grants, right? If you look further, MJ, do you have the panel book? I haven't been able to get it on my other computer.
Yeah, I've got that open.
Okay, would you look at 19 Carter for me, please?
Let me see how far down the page that is. Okay.
I can tell you who they're by.
It's like one of the very, you know what?
Yeah.
One of the very last ones.
It's after Teddy Roosevelt and before the
Yeah,
cultural
I'm at it.
diversity.
Okay, what am I looking for with the?
Towards the back, they list out expenses that they have and where they're projecting the money to come from.
Yeah,
And it's way more than $1,000, isn't it?
yeah, so the total projected expenses are 5,400. They're asking for 1,000 for us, and then the remaining is $3,000 from ticket sales and 1,400 from donations.
Okay, so I want to talk to Ricky and see if the same thing would apply here, that when we look at those projected expenses, they are projecting that they're going to make up the difference from ticket sales. But if they don't get those ticket sales, they fall short. So are we able to pump up?
But it also said donations, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
could just, that instead of making them rely on donations, right? We could just.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we definitely have avenues by which we could give more to 19 Carter.
Yeah, so I'd like to maybe go back through the rules. I'll take a quick look at the things that I was looking at the other day and see if, in other words, we have a little bit of cushion here, and aren't we better serving our community by, instead of giving 19 Carter 1,000, giving them 1,200 or 1,300
Yeah,
in their grant? And then they could lower the cost of the tickets to the people in the community.
well, that's also something I think we are able to make that conditional too. We could say, hey, we'll give you $500 more, but your ticket, if you make your tickets $8 instead of $10 or something, we can. I think that's in fact one of the particular avenues for justifying an increased amount of money is by asking them to do a little more.
To defray the cost of the tickets with the additional.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we can look at this a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah, well, especially if we don't get that, if we aren't ending up funding the Kirk Whipple thing or not funding it to the full amount, that would be, I mean, I'd be comfortable with that as kind of our main thought as to how to deal with additional funds. I mean, I've always found 19 Carter to be a part of how I got re-involved in the community after coming back to town. So,
And it's a community asset that's hurting right now too.
Yeah.
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 I think we can look at Link in the same way, give them more funds. We usually, in the past, we've given them at least
We usually give them less.
we could push that one up.
that freeze again.
I actually did get an email to somehow, for some reason, with them saying that they're not really running fundraisers this year.
Yeah,
So they certainly will be hurting for it, for next year's programs
okay.
too. So if they don't have to pay as much for this year's, it would probably help them.
And we could give them a partial grant out of the Berlin money, fund them partially through this and partially through the Berlin money.
Yep.
This is getting very complicated.
Mhm.
So
I
are
think
we
it's going to
making,
be hard to come up with hard numbers until we know whether we're funding Whipple or not.
Doing, but what do you do?
What you got going on there, Karen? She's muted herself.
Sorry, I opened like something was open and it started running that I didn't know I had there, and then it started making noise. So sorry.
it's okay.
Like your cat or something.
Oops. I got rid of it. That was good.
Well, I keep dragging you out for Friday meetings. We at least need some laughs out of it all. Okay. So I think that begs it. Are we making any formal funding decisions tonight, or are we just kind of looking at this as an informal discussion on it and tabling it till our next meeting?
I mean, personally, I guess, I mean, could we do some of them right now? Like, could we fund all the senior ones fully tonight? And, or do we want to wait and just fund everything all the same night? Because I don't, we're going to have to talk again anyway to make a decision on Whipple.
Mhm.
So maybe we should just wait until we know how much money exactly.
And maybe, yeah, wait to, I mean, we could look at part of it now and know which ones we can add more money to if MJ doesn't mind looking through the panel book with us. Or, I mean, I don't know, are people getting tired? We've been talking for an hour and a half now.
I'm good with whatever
Yeah.
direction people want to go in. This is still early in my day.
Do you want to talk for, like, cut it off at 9 if we're not done?
Okay, yeah,
Okay, sounds
I
good.
think that sounds good, and saved the
Yeah.
last few minutes for talking about the town report.
Okay.
Oh yeah, wait. Town report. Do we need to have all this decided by the town report then?
No, I mean,
Okay.
in past, we have always included, or at least in the past few years, included a chart that says everything we've done, but that's
Yeah.
when it is, everything got delayed this year, so
Right.
we're just
Yeah,
done.
that's
So I sent that around today or yesterday. I sent, I
It
think
looks
that,
good.
yeah, a draft. I mean, essentially, half of it is just changing some dates on what we've written the past you know, it's essentially the past 3 years been a form thing that Amanda's just changed around. So the only thing on that was, you know, any level of creativity from me was changing some wording to reflect not having this chart and writing about what we've done with in relation to COVID, because that has obviously taken up time and had us meeting and doing things we're not normally doing.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to do things that, and hopefully by the time we do decide, anything that is not submitted next Friday will only get put in as an addendum, but I think it's something where we'll still potentially make it into the town report. It just won't make it in the same spot, and you know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
My OCD will survive that little hiccup, as I'm sure. Okay, looking. Looking through, see. So are we wanting me to look through the panel books to basically see if people have additional expenses?
Yeah, can we look at the three, I assume the senior citizens need full funding and they're not going to be throwing any of their own money. And I think they have pretty limited funds, but I'd really like to start with them if they need any additional money.
Yeah. Well, right now, you know, just going chronologically through the panel book. The Davis Bates one wasn't something where he was not requesting his full expenses. The World of Wonder one was one where the amount being requested was the total projected amount.
And that's Davis Bates.
That the Davis Bates one was celebrating the season. That the World of Wonder is
That's Link, right?
Yeah.
Faulkner?
yeah, that's the link one for Faulkner. The fox hunting one was not requesting its full amount. It had specific donations by 2 of the people. The adult improv was asking for its full amount of projected expenses.
Out of the box improv?
Yeah,
Yeah, we should, because she's really good.
yeah. But I'm just looking now to see which ones were asking for less money than they projected for expenses. That one,
Right.
it was asking for the
Okay.
full amount.
I missed Link.
That was the Faulkner one.
Yeah.
They asked for what it would cost.
The full amount, okay. So Link wasn't kicking in extra money of their own, okay.
It's also possible they're so used to us not paying the full amount that they just asked for what they were hoping to get, but
Yeah. The summer brass one, the additional funding is the student tuition. So that's one that we could add additional money to if we wanted. Try that.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on to Berlin seniors, the Seacoast Stompers. Staff was asking for the full amount. Let's see, and the scroll down memory lane, that was asking for the full amount. And the Teddy Roosevelt one was asking for the full amount, so none of those have the easy method of adding more money to them. Our method. And yeah, so I discussed 19 Carter, and it was on the police one that had some additional money coming from the quote unquote music dance parent committee. Music in all capital letters, so presumably an acronym for something.
Okay, but the police and
Oh,
the,
no, the music dance, that, yeah, the police one, I think that's essentially it. It looks like it's an in-kind donation from the people involved in it performing, sounds like. Not that that's one I want to throw more money at by any means.
So tonight, could we approve the ones that have asked for their full funding? Just so those are done and off the table for,
Yeah,
It'll give us a good idea of what we have left too. That might inform the next meeting better.
it just means there's less numbers, I think, for us to keep track of then too, because
Yeah.
they don't have any additional expenses listed. And so, we would have to be reaching out to them if we wanted to give them more money to find out if they had things they didn't list. Whereas something like 19 Carter already has it listed out.
Yeah. And for that matter, we can decide on the Assabet Valley Master Centers if we are funding them less. So
Well, I think we should get an answer. Oh, well, that's right. Never mind. I keep getting confused. I would like to make a motion that we fully fund the David Bates program tonight, the Faulkner program, the Meredith Charles, the Summer Brass, and the 3 Berlin Seniors programs.
okay, well, a couple of those were ones we could throw more money at if we wanted to.
Which ones?
The
Summer Brass, but
Summer Brass, the Davis Bates one.
oh, I didn't realize David
I
Bates
thought you
was.
said that was fully funded, David Bates.
Yeah.
That one was one where there was an in-kind donation.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll amend. I think my personal take on Summer Brass is just it's so few kids in Berlin actually participate in it that I think if I would rather see our extra money go towards groups that larger numbers of people in town are accessing.
Yeah.
Which is why I included them in that, but
Okay.
I'm happy to take them off my.
No, I agree with what you're saying. That's one of the critical things that we need to look at in these. So who is the support person for David Bates?
That's a library one.
Is it the Friends of the Library that are kicking in on it?
No, that's his own an in-kind donation from him. In-kind donation by artist of marketing, travel, and fee.
Okay.
So we may or may not want to offer more money, but that.
So why don't I make a different motion?
Okay.
I will make a motion that tonight we approve to fully fund the Faulkner program for Link, the Meredith Charles program and the 3 Berlin seniors programs
Okay,
to their fully funded or fully requested amounts, as they don't have any extra expenses listed.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Is Meredith Charles Library, even though it's happening in 19 Carter, or is it 19 Carter?
the grant request is from her. 19 Carter is the sponsoring agency.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're talking about the 3 senior programs, the Link program, and I've had a brain fart there. What was the?
The Meredith Charles.
That's the one I was just talking about. Yeah,
And
okay. I
North-
second that motion.
Wait,
Oh, and the
the-
never mind. I took summer brass out because we had,
yeah.
even
the
though
one-
I have
the-
feelings about that.
The one about the Northbridge Hounds.
But that
Yeah.
one, they actually were donating some too, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
comfortable having a discussion about them when we know if we have more money.
all right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take that off. So would you read them again?
So Faulkner, Meredith Charles,
Which one is Faulkner?
The
he's
Link one.
the Link program,
All right,
because they asked for, they didn't list that there's any other expenses, right?
okay.
And the Meredith Charles, because there were no other expenses listed in that one. And then the 3 Berlin seniors programs, because they're asking for full funding for those.
Right.
So that's 5 programs to just fully fund and take off the table for the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Does-
Yeah,
That's the motion I'm making.
and I seconded the motion.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
hold on, let me call you individually. So Jess, yay or nay?
Yes,
And Deborah, yay or nay?
Okay,
And Karen, yay or nay?
Okay.
And I vote yay. So those 5 are passed, fully funded, and now old business.
okay.
So did we want to decide anything on any of the others tonight, or do we want to just deal with them in our next meeting?
oh, we were not gonna fully fund music dance EDU as well?
That one requested more. I don't think we want to give them more, or I shouldn't say requested more. They weren't requesting the full amount of their expenses.
Oh, okay, all right,
I don't think we are inclined to offer them more money, but it's less straightforward than the ones we just
okay.
passed.
Right.
So
Mhm.
do we want to discuss any of the others further tonight, or do we want to just hold on it all until the next meeting?
I think we need to hold on the rest of it. So I move that we hold discussion on the rest of it until we come back with the information from cable access. And Kirk Whipple, and we have a chance to look at the panel book again for the additional expenses for the ones that we're going to take another look at to add money to.
Okay, I think that sounds good. So I think just so we did discuss the town report a tiny bit. So yeah, I think it was all pretty straightforward. Like I was saying, most of it was just copied from our previous years with numbers changed, and then just that paragraph in the beginning about what we've dealt with for COVID. So unless anyone has any additional thoughts or comments on that, I'll probably not change anything and submit it next week.
Are we just deciding on a date for the next meeting?
Wait, can we, but just because, so my minutes don't look like crazy. Can somebody second Deborah's motion and can we vote on that before we move on?
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
so the motion is to pass over the rest of the finances, was it?
Yes,
It
and
was
have a chance
to,
to further research on them.
exactly.
Okay. So just yay or nay?
Yes,
Yay.
Okay. Deborah, yay or nay?
Okay,
Karen, yay or nay? I vote yay, so we have passed over the rest until
Okay.
our next meeting. So now we are officially on to the town report and yeah, so unless anyone has any additional thoughts on it, that is pretty much, unless I find a typo or something in it, what I will submit to the Board of Selectmen by the deadline next Friday, and then they vote on it the following week. Whether
It
they,
looked good to me.
okay. Any other comments?
Are we deciding on the next meeting date, time?
Yes, that would be the next matter if there is no further comment on the town report. Seeing none, so yes, so the next meeting, which I think,
Fifth,
go ahead, Karen.
I suggested the fifth.
we need to do it before the rejection letter deadline,
Right.
which I'm
Okay,
sure is February 13th.
I was thinking the simplest thing would be 2 weeks from today, if folks could stomach another
uh,
So
meeting.
February 5th.
Yeah, that sounds right. But I mean, if there's another day that works better,
I guess. I don't have anything written down, but for some reason, February 29th, I mean, January 29th rings a bell, so let's hope it doesn't conflict.
Wait,
Yeah, no,
January
no,
29th or February
not-
5th?
not next week, 2 weeks from today.
Oh, 2 weeks, okay. 2 weeks works a bit better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love you all, but I'm not spending my birthday in a meeting.
Oh, January
Happy early
29th?
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday in 1 week.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how I can remember when the town report is due, because it's
Okay.
not the most important thing in my day. Not that at this point in my life, birthdays are all that interesting, but the opposite Fridays of these meetings are when I have my Dungeons and Dragons group, so I will actually get to see some friends and you
That'd be
know,
a better way to spend your birthday.
yeah,
Indeed, yeah.
yes. So we're okay with 2 weeks from today and same time, and fingers crossed we won't need to meet again for a while after that. 'Cause
Sounds good.
again, I love you guys, but we don't need to meet quite so much, hopefully.
No, that's how this works. You have a bunch of meetings clustered and then big, long periods in between that don't really have to talk about anything.
Yeah. Well, hopefully life will get simpler in terms of COVID and such, and we'll actually get all that time off without having to come back to approve anything. So okay, I will get us booked for a meeting 2 weeks from today. Hopefully we'll have Sandra for that. I didn't see any emails from her about not getting on, but anyways, so
And we'll make a motion to end our meeting
okay.
tonight.
I second that. So yes, yay or nay
Yep.
to Deborah, yay or nay. Karen, yay or nay.
Yeah.
And I vote we adjourn as well. So I call the meeting adjourned